I'm just cuddling with the
Let's see.
girls.
You always have to have a snack before a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm paying for that $25 popcorn bucket? Fuck no.
Thank God we were over the 30-second mark on that one, because when this gets uploaded to YouTube, it would already be fine.
You definitely have to have the more. What? Oh. You have to have the
Leroy Jenkins! Eleanor, thank you so very much for the raid, sir.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Aww.
My name is Jeff.
Got rated.
Yeah, we got raided. Protect your buttocks! It's an alien invasion!
I always protect my buttocks.
I don't.
That's fine, honey. Whatever you need to do to get you through life, as long as it's, you know, you're not hurting anybody and everybody's enjoying themselves and over 18, you do you.
He also poops pancakes.
I what?
He poops in the mix.
Thank you so very much, Eleanor. I appreciate the raid, sir.
We love you.
Word Runner, holy crap. 28 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Aww.
We've almost been at this for 3 years.
Damn. I actually got to do something for like I really need to come up with something to do for like the 3-year anniversary.
Yes, okay. I'm on it. I'm on it.
I mean, I'm sure we'll figure something out.
I think y'all will too. I believe in y'all.
Do you believe in magic?
And I hope you do.
I am magic.
Oh, wait a minute. I still have my sound effects on.
I'm in danger.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Oh, dear.
It's so good to see you.
Let's, this is going to devolve very quickly.
Jimmy!
Emotional damage.
You cut that off? Yeah, absolutely.
We do need some intro music though.
That was pretty fun.
Pretzel rock kind of thing, maybe. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I thought I had. No, I don't. God damn it!
Well, let's just start a tab and like the next week, everybody like put what they think in, and we'll decide, and that can be our opening music, as long as it's legal.
Royalty free. I don't want to get DMCA'd. And thank you, Alec Nord.
Yes, you know what I mean.
God
So
damn the DMCA.
I'm gonna make a tab in our little hole.
Gunny, take it away.
And,
You must have calluses from patting yourself on the back so much.
Really?
a tab in our hole.
Well, that is, as everybody can see and hear now, apparently, I like having the let mics hot when waiting to go live, because as you can tell, we have some amazing conversations going on in the background that you all get to enjoy while you're waiting for our beautiful faces to show up. So,
Tab in the hole.
Word Runner is currently losing his fucking shit, so, hey, works.
It's not even just a hole, our hole.
Ouch! Well, everybody, welcome back to Grumpy Vets. If this is the first time you've ever been to Grumpy Vets, welcome to Grumpy Vets. We're not always grumpy, as you can tell, but we love ragging on each other, and this is the first stream back of the new year. It's the first stream back for me. If you're in my Discord, you know I've been dealing with some physical ailments that I've been working on, and starting to get actually better. So we're giving this a shot, and what the fuck? Why not? We do something a little bit different to begin off the new stream with. So as always, I am joined by the man on my left. I guess it's the left. Word Runner, United States Air Force veteran now, no longer active.
It's a great feeling.
I bet. Right above me is United States Navy veteran, Goodfella ZK.
How's it going? Hello.
And right above Word Runner, Word Mummer, Word Runner,
Words.
Word Hard Death, is a lovely lady, Chimmy. So
Howdy, folks.
So here's the thing. We're starting this Grumpy Vets off as an actual talk show podcast. So, brain. Audience
He's really struggling here.
I really am. Holy crap. Audience participation is highly recommended. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, because one of us four, and maybe five, depending on if we get a special person to come and join us, whatever, blah, 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 blah. We'll be glad to answer said question. So, today, it's today. I know, I'm gonna...
You want me to take it from here?
Nope, no, I got this.
I believe in you.
We're going to be going over and talking about a fantastic military movie that was a recommendation by Word Runner? Or was it Zach?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
It was Word.
It was Word Runner this time. Okay. It is Hacksaw Ridge. It is a historical military movie taking place during World War II in the invasion of Okinawa.
Yes.
Yep. It's a great little piece.
I mean,
So why did you...
the
Go ahead, baby.
the accuracy of this movie, the absolute accuracy. Mic check.
Yeah, what was everyone's first initial response to this? Great movie, great pick, by the way. But well, no, let's start this way. Why? Because you picked this one. Why did you like it? Let's start with you, Word. What?
Because there is a lot of accuracy in it. There is a lot of history, a lot that's covered inside this film that is genuinely impactful. It carries forth a lot of the emotions that were felt not just by the soldier, but as a troop of going up against an indomitable force that they watch get hailed by shells that by no means any human should be able to survive. They climb up 120 feet and they still have to fight. That knowledge and that impact of it is absolutely why I made the suggestion. It's a fantastic film. Is it 100% accurate? No.
Well, obviously,
It's always going to struggle with accuracy.
well, it's Hollywood. What do you expect? They have to embellish what they can.
So I think my initial impression about this movie was, like, initially whenever it first came out was, I'm not watching this. This is ridiculous. And I think, looking back, it was bad timing because of the actors in the movie. The actors in the movie threw it off for me.
Fucking Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Fucking Spider-Man.
But, yeah, because you got like Spider-Man coming out in a war movie. No, dude, I'm good, man. You're just throwing him in war movies because he's Spider-Man. No, I'm done. I'm not falling for it, Hollywood. Not today.
Gotcha,
But you know,
gotcha.
like one got by me, you know.
Well, no, I mean, and let's all make a side note that Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. And that's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, he's my Spider-Man, I should say. But no, I mean, I can understand because definitely, when this did come out, it was 2016, and it was still Spider-Man.
Right.
So yeah.
And Vince Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? You're trying to throw Vince Vaughn at me in a serious war movie. Vince Vaughn, like
it's a stretch.
It's old school.
Don't get me wrong, it's a stretch. But you know what? Talking about doing such a good job at it, though.
He did. He did, definitely.
He absolutely domineered that role. And there's maybe a handful of actors that I could say would be able to match his presence.
I think they all did really well. So do you guys want to get into this movie and have me kind of take you through it, and we talk all about the different themes that we saw? Zach mentioned something in our Discord and about the religious aspect, and I think that's something we definitely need to touch on. But I do like that this is based on a true story. It's a biographical war movie. So there's that. It is also directed by Mel Gibson. Some people love him. Some people consider him problematic. I think he did good. This was very much a Mel Gibson movie. And
well, one thing I got to say about that, though, is when Mel Gibson does a war-style movie, he actually kind of gets it right. Because he does a bit of research on the military mindset of that point in time. I mean, it just as a quick reference, at the very end of the movie, they actually showed interviews of the survivors. Even the interview of the man that the movie's based off of.
Yes, Desmond Doss. Yeah, and I think he really is good at doing the war movie, even like The Patriot and stuff like that. And one of the things that I think he does really right is he's good with like the soundtrack and the wording and like really getting the audience, someone like me who is not a veteran, who is a civilian, into the war movie, into feeling the feels, like I was feeling it. This movie. Oh, okay. So let's see. Yes, Hacksaw Ridge. It's was 2016 by Mel Gibson, and of course, it stars none other than the original Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield.
He's not the original Spider-Man. He's not the original Spider-Man. He's the only Spider-Man that's worth a damn. but he's not the original Spider-Man.
No,
well,
dude.
I had a
Animated TV
blackout
show
episode of
Spider-Man all the way.
Yeah, I have blacked out all other Spider-Man, so that's my reality as Andrew Garfield. All right, so this movie starts out in 1929 in Virginia, and you see, oh my gosh, what is his name? I love him. But you see two little boys
Hugo.
farting.
Oh, the boy or the man?
The man. What's
The
the
father.
man's name?
Hugo Weaving.
Thank you. I'm always wanting to say Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, because that's the first movie I saw him in. Y'all should watch that movie. I may make y'all watch that movie. It has nothing to do with the military. Anyways, moving on. So Hugo Weaving, and he's obviously, I think you can tell he's a veteran and he has some issues by what he's doing.
He's a veteran of World War One, the Great War, as it was originally
Truth
called.
War.
Supposed to be the war to end all wars.
Yeah.
It was a incredibly complex experience of brand new battlefield fighting with firearms that didn't need to be loaded with powder.
Mhm.
You had the ability to fire off, but realistically, 20 rounds from a high caliber rifle that would tear a man apart before they even had the chance to blink. You had the introduction of snipers that were capable of long shots across trenches. So even peeking your helmet over was almost a death sentence. The introduction of war machines. All of these things compounded together to create a domineering experience and an absolutely brutal mindset for anyone that made it out alive.
Brutal.
Oh, definitely. No, I actually know that for a fact because there was, for some reason, my great grandfather didn't go to World War One. He may have been too young. But the three brothers all went and they all came back, and I mean, yeah, it affected them. They all had nervous breakdowns by the time they were 40. And care was not as good back then, and this is what a lot of men did for a long time was drink. Mental health wasn't really talked about. If you were going to see a therapist or anything, you were crazy.
I mean,
Well, you were
And
institutionalized.
yeah.
like you said,
It's Hugo Weaving, by the way.
yeah, I love Hugo.
Yeah, Elrod.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, he's obviously going through something. You see the little boys playing around, which is our main character, Desmond Doss. This is who the movie is based on. And he's playing around with his brother, and it looks like he grabs a brick or either one of those, what do you call it, cinder blocks. I can't really tell.
Nah, that was
And
just a
whacks his
straight
brother
brick.
in the
That was a
head.
straight brick.
Still a brick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a
Just
brick.
playing around, got too rough, basically almost kills his brother.
There was Harold.
And yeah.
Harold Dawes.
So yeah, Harold's. God, there was a lot of Harold's.
There still is a lot of Harolds. We know two of them.
Yes, we do. God bless one soul.
That would be my father. Bless his soul, because he has to deal with my ass.
Yes, he does, and I pray for him every day, baby. Don't worry, don't worry. I pray for your daddy. But yeah, and so you can tell that this is kind of a point in his life that really affects him.
Well, yeah,
And
it's a traumatic. It's a traumatic event in his life. It's also he's dealing with his father's PTSD as well. On top of it, seeing the aftermath of what's happened to him from when he went to war. So he's an alcoholic. He beats on his wife. He beats on his children.
Yeah, his whole no, just let him go at it. It just means I have to beat the winner. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's some quality parenting skills. But at the same time, this man is obviously dealing with a lot of internal demons. Definitely survivor's guilt. definitely that's a big thing for him. But no, we know because of this incident, this is going to be a big point in Desmond's life. And then I think we go to him later
Uh,
where we start to see him. What?
it's 15 years
Did
later
I?
after that.
Yes. Um, he takes an injured man to the hospital, after delivering CPR and first aid. This is when we see Mr. Spider-Man
And to the hospital after administering a tourniquet
It was a
after
tourniquet because
administering tourniquet.
the guy had a car fall
with
on
his
him and he
belt.
got freaking impaled by the damn car.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not pretty. And you can kind of see him, who Desmond is. Like he's a helper. He likes to help. He goes to the hospital, he sees himself a hot little redhead.
Who is played by
And
Teresa Palmer.
yes, and they start a flirting and a courting. And then y'all want me to keep going, or do you guys need to stop to talk?
No, I think we're getting our jabs in as we go.
I mean, Spider-Man
Okay.
Spider-Man was trying to be a smooth talker when he was talking to his redhead blue eyes. God damn it, I'm in trouble.
His girlfriend, his woman,
He
his
wasn't
love
even his
interest.
girlfriend at the time. He started trying to be a
Right.
smooth talker even before he get into them panties.
Right.
Pretty much.
So I think this was another reason why I never watched the entire movie. Was like it takes so long before you get into like the actual like him in the army that it's like
Yeah.
and like this part of the story was like dragged on, I think, more than it needed to in parts for like backstory.
Yeah.
Probably, but I think what they're trying to do here is set up who Desmond is as a person, and you see that he does have that heart. You can see that he is a very religious man. He is a Seventh Day Adventist, and he gets that from
Evangelist.
his mama. Adventist, right? Not evangelist, of
A
Adventist.
7-day evangelist.
It is now 7-day evangelist, but at the time it was a 7-day Advent.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay.
You learn something maybe
So
new.
now the evangelist was Adventist at the time.
Tracking. No, nobody come out for me, please. I try to keep up with the current times, but there's a lot happening in case y'all haven't noticed.
As Zach's here
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
keep tally of like point.
Yes. So he starts. Are you finished with your pume, or do you need to shoot each other a little bit more?
Shots fired.
Right. So, we're seeing who he is. He has his little love interest and stuff. Well, World War II starts and Japanese attack Pearl Harbor. And that's when we go into the war. So, every able bodied man at this time is volunteering, not volunteering, but they're signing up for the military, right? And so his brother signs up. Dad's not too happy. And then Doss signs up,
Whoa, whoa,
and
whoa.
this is where I feel the story really starts.
Wait. I want to rewind a little bit there because when his brother signs up and he actually comes to the dinner table and his father sees him in that uniform, yes, his father gets that immediate, yes, I'm proud of my son. He joined the military, and then he instantly starts getting into a flashback of his time in the military and the PTSD and the friends and the loved ones that he lost during war.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, and that has to be. Sorry, go ahead.
He said, I lost all of my friends, which cuts to just a few scenes after. He's standing at the graveside, and he pours out a drink and takes one himself when Doss approaches him. And he's looking at these 3 gravestones, and those are his 3 best friends that he signed up with Was it 4?
It was 4.
Damn. 4 best friends. So they all signed up as a group. They all enlisted at the same time, got sent off together, and he was the only one to make it back, which is where the survivor's guilt comes from. But that's in his hometown.
Well,
imagine never being able to go around. Yeah, there were a ton of graves around.
Because I think he also said, and this is everybody else that I like grew up with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like these are my friends, but everybody else I went to school or grew up with is also like right here.
So
Yeah,
it was a veteran. It was a veterans like cemetery that they were in, and to me, and I know for Goodfellow and Word Runner, that's holy ground to us, and to be able to say what he said to Doss at that point in time was monstrous in feeling, and be like saying, "These are my best friends. I grew up with them. They were brothers of mine, and I'm the only one that came home." Damn.
And that's like completely realistic and completely like normal for that as well.
Yeah, for that era, absolutely.
Yeah.
But so for those of you that don't know, there's a huge difference between a brother in arms and a brother that you serve with. We didn't serve together. We are brothers in arms. The people that you serve with, they become your family. Because that's who you spend the majority of your time with whenever you're serving. You're putting your life in their hands, and they're doing the exact same for you.
I mean, out of all of us here that are veterans, so Zach, I'm not sure about you. Word, Brennis, I'm not sure. Well, I'm pretty sure you did not see theater.
Nope, was not permitted to.
I did see theater. I have brothers and sisters that I fought with, that I bled with, and no matter what, they are my family. And I'll be the first to admit, watching this movie, and if y'all don't know that are out there in the interwebs watching this, Jimmy and I live together, and I started crying and said, "I miss my jarheads." But
And then I put him in timeout and told him to grow up. No, that's not what happened. I gave him hugs. I was very sweet.
I 100% believe that. Like, absolutely. I believe both scenarios.
And then a spanking.
And,
hey, that's just a good time. That's threatening me with a good time, sir.
I thought this was supposed to be a family podcast. What is this nonsense?
Nah. This is. I've always been rated mature, and it's always will be rated mature.
What are you talking about?
Okay, I totally gave him a spanking, and he did like it.
Hey now.
Figures.
Okay, back to the movie. So we are seeing the significance of, you know, of his dad and what his dad has lost, and that he really wants his. I mean, he only has 2 sons, right? I didn't see any other siblings, so both of his sons are now going to war.
Well,
I
think at this point in time, the brother has already left.
Yes,
and
I think so too. It wasn't. I don't think it was too clear, but I think that is what was implied. Yeah.
Yeah. So the brother had already left. Like, it was several months down the line that this occurred, that Doss decided he was going to enlist. Because his brother, he had already mentioned that his brother had sent him a letter from France.
So he was in the European front, and Doss was enlisted just to go to the Pacific front.
Which, I mean, at that point in time was also very common.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the troops at that point, the European front was exhausted. They were worn to the damn bone. Especially after Ardennes? Yeah, absolutely not. Because while there might not have been a ton of troops that pushed through there, the mental strain of pushing through that cold wore on the entire European theater.
Mm-hmm. So after we have this little heart-to-heart with uh, Desmond and his father, obviously it then moves forward a couple of months. Well, not even a couple of months, because right after the heart-to-heart, he takes his... Was it before he takes his Dorothy to work? And she's like, "When are you gonna ask me to marry her?" Or was that after the heart-to-heart with the father?
I don't know. It happened around sometime about that point,
Yeah.
and
Before.
I like Dorothy.
Was it?
I like Dorothy.
I don't know. It's like one of those
Hey,
where I'm
y'all.
like zoning out at this point.
We
you know,
watched
it's
this
like,
movie.
The funny thing is, we watched this movie even before we even started, and I'm already... Was it before? Was it after? But yeah, this section was long-winded.
Yeah.
Okay, at some point in time before he um, officially starts his basic training, correct? Is that the proper terminology? He asks, well, I think Dorothy asks him to marry her, is what I'm going to say. He may think he asked her, but no, it was her idea. I'm sure it was in his head, but she got him.
Hook, line, sinker.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was... Are you gonna
Yes,
man
he
up or
did.
not? Come on.
Yes.
Yep.
And so sorry, I got stuck.
The schedule for that wedding date's pretty damn accurate too. Like he knew when he would get a pass.
Yes. But we're not there yet. So let's get there. All right, here we go. That's what I'm here for. And so we start to see kind of because he goes into basic training, and Desmond's actually doing pretty good there for a second. I mean, he's doing the what do you call obstacle course? What do you guys call it? You know,
Yes, it's the obstacle course.
Ropes,
Yeah,
obstacle courses, whatever.
Yeah.
okay, the American Ninja Warrior. He's going to be
Yeesh.
that, and he's doing, very well. And then until it's time to get his weapon.
Well, what do you expect? What do you
And
expect? He was doing really well. He's a country bumpkin. The only thing he knows is how to freaking run through cornfields and jump over the fence to get away from the farmer's daughter because the farmer's chasing him.
yes,
Oh no,
Yeah, and
like, he's in the
there-
he's up in the hills, man.
I feel
He's
like
like up in the hills and
flashback to a
hollers.
country song.
Hills and
And it looks
hollers.
like-
Yeah. West Virginia.
yeah.
Right?
Well, I think it was just in Virginia. I don't know if it was West Virginia, but
Well, no, so the song is about Western Virginia, just so you know. It's not West Virginia. It's about Western Virginia.
Yeah.
oh,
At that
okay.
point in time, it was Western Virginia, not Virginia.
Well,
Welcome to the sidetrack, y'all.
yeah. We all know this guy named Tarlin from Virginia, and that's all I'm going to say.
Truth.
But no, we love him. We love him.
Sometimes.
Anyways, so
Pain in my
we
ass.
love him.
Pain in my
Okay.
ass.
You have way too many pains in your ass, and I don't even do anything to it.
It's
Now,
like hemorrhoids. It's just
uh,
constantly, son of a bitch.
yeah, well, nobody needs to know about that, honey. You need to save that for after the stream.
Hey, at least I don't have
Okay,
like crabs like Goodfellow up there.
I don't even want to know how you know that. I think you guys need to have a talk.
Well, he's
And,
throwing them all over the chat after all.
Okay, well, y'all play with your crabs, and Word and I will continue on. But this is where, like, we meet Vince Vaughn, who is the sergeant. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, he is the sergeant, and he makes friends with a Polish guy who he says is a Native American or indigenous, however you prefer to say that. And
He's
he also makes a man do the obstacle course naked, which I have questions about and how he
Listen,
felt.
so
Hollywood was
so
a fantastic addition.
yeah, the Hollywood was a fantastic addition to this because
And accurate.
First,
Yeah,
Like, is
probably
there?
like most realistic thing that started this thing.
yeah, right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
100%. The amount
Do
of
y'all have to do that
ad-
naked?
No,
the
no,
amount
but it
of
can happen.
absolutely people in the buff that just walk around the bay. Yeah, no, that happens all the time.
And the things
Okay.
that the things that Sergeant Holloway, aka Vince Vaughn, it says during this period in time is spot on accurate. I mean, he will go up into somebody's face, rip into them, but like, oh, you look like freaking Igor. Congratulations, you're now named Igor. I mean, personally, I had a recruit in the Marine Corps. We're called recruits. We're not called privates. And one
Okay, sorry.
his drill instructor, I kid you not, named this one guy Tweety because this guy's head was fucking huge. He was just like, you look like a fucking goddamn fucking Tweety bird. And that's, you know what? From now on, you're recruit Tweety.
It's like Ghoul. That man looked like a walking skeleton.
He
So
really did.
calling him Ghoul, absolutely. That shit happens all the time.
Yeah. That and
Is that like how I call Z my beaver? Because he's my beaver, and like you're my lion, and then Word is my falcon. But no, Z is my
Blue
beaver.
Falcon. That's right. You are now the Blue Falcon.
Ooh. No.
No, that is
I'm
no. It
going-
was a peregrine falcon, and it had nothing to do with the military. So you hush over there.
Hey. This is a family show, y'all, in case you didn't know. So,
What,
yeah.
I keep
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about my
We're
beaver
acting like a
friend?
good Irish family.
So, for those of you that have ever been curious, the majority of what you saw during this, or if you even bothered to watch the movie, I highly recommend it. During this film, they're running obstacle courses, they're dishing out KP duty or kitchen patrol, and they're knocking out study, understanding how to read land nav maps, understanding how to survive if they're ever separated from their unit, because ultimately that's what a lot of this can come down to. In a firefight, you have no idea what's going to be coming at you, and you have absolutely no way to predict the outcome of it.
Not
So
great.
understanding and being best prepared, that's all that they were trying to do. Trying to make sure that these guys survived more than a day out in the field.
But the
Showing
thing,
Not be
them,
naked.
showing them going through step by step, tying knots was like the second thing. I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty accurate right there."
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, all right, show me how to
100%.
tie it real quick.
How do I tie my Swedish seat so I can rappel down this wall and not break my fucking legs or neck?
Yeah,
That's okay. I had a guy break his tailbone.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really rough.
ass cast.
We carried him back, full
He-
armor.
He didn't have to worry about the big green weenie for a few months.
Wow.
Yeah, beware the green weenie that comes from the green giant. You can find it in your freezer section. All right, yes, I know.
Oh,
Did y'all
as
hear
we're
that?
going, as we're going through this
My poor
training
son.
sequence, it comes up on the shooting. Now, everyone has to be rifle qualified. Doesn't matter what profession you're going into, you need to make sure that you can at least fire a weapon, because at some point during your career, you may very well have to.
Now, which
It
is
could-
also funny because Doss went in to be a medic. So
Yep.
yes, at the point in time, medics had to be rifle qualified, and they also had to be sidearm qualified. So they had to get the Beretta 9mm, which is still in use today.
At the time, the Army was still using the 1911. That only
yeah.
lasted until 1946.
Okay. I'll give you that one. The 1911 was a lot better than the Beretta. A lot better.
Listen, we can have a conversation as to why the 1911 is such a great handgun at a later point in time, but we don't have enough time to talk about the anti-cal projectiles.
Yeah, true.
So, as
We get to
everyone's stepping up,
why.
as everyone's stepping up to grab their rifles, Certain Hal notices that there's still a rifle up there. So he's scanning the rank to make sure, they didn't miscount, because typically they don't.
No.
They're 60 men, 60 rifles, and they're signed out appropriately. So as he sees that Doss doesn't have these... Yeah, listen, I don't want to talk about armory duty anymore. I don't have to do it anymore.
See,
So,
I never had the armory duty, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I also was issued the M16A2 with the 203 grenade launcher.
I guess I was an armorer, but I was only like, I did have to do watch term. That was stupid.
You also
never
got to
again
ride
in my
around on the
life-
metal shaft all day long.
That's true. And never again in my life do I ever want to have to count 19,999 rounds and realize I'm missing one.
No.
Never again.
That sounds like a way to torture me.
No. That's a way to get your ass in Leavenworth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, this
Absolutely.
is why I am not a good candidate for the military, though I appreciate and love and support each and every single one of you.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Howell notices the rifle is still there and immediately goes to Doss. Now, at the time, it wasn't a well-known fact, but he had the option to refuse a rifle if, for whatever reason, he was going to be positioned stateside. Let's say, for example, he was a reservist. At the time, the reserves didn't exist, but let's say he was a reservist. He refused to be rifle qualified. That's understandable. He is a reservist, and he works a desk. He will never be put into a combat scenario. He's only ever going to work a desk, and it's going to suck, but that's what he signed up for. Doss refused his rifle on his own principles, which, according to congressional statement, he's legally allowed to do.
It's called the conscientious objector.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, conscientious objection has changed a lot over the years. It can go anywhere from refusing to be involved with anything in the Middle East to refusing to enforce military standards upon civilians. It could be carrying a weapon. All of these things are all very real and very legitimate. At the time, it was very little known.
It's kind of like for me, during my time in Iraq, we had COs that would refuse the anthrax vaccination. Did they get shit for it? Oh, yeah, they did. But they were allowed to do that.
Yep. I mean, it was completely within their right.
Yes. And now, why is he being a conscientious objector this time? It's not just, his person, it's his religious principles. It goes back to the Seventh-day Adventists, now evangelists.
Well, the majority of it laid with him almost killing his brother.
And
his religious views gave him, I don't want to say enabled him, because they really didn't. His will alone was, reinforced, thank you. The will of his own spirit and the argument that's been reinforced with being a Seventh-day Adventist meant he could absolutely legally refuse that rifle.
See, one of the things in which people don't realize is the religious beliefs that a person has, even in the military. The military cannot traipse on those beliefs. So that's the reason why you have people that are seven-day evangelists that join the military, or Muslim, or Christian, or whatever, and they are still able to practice their faith while in the military. And the military has to go, there's nothing I can do. But at this point in time, it was the military didn't frown upon it. They just fucking kick him out.
Yeah, and that was the easiest option, was They were looking for quantity, not quality, which was unfortunate, but they tried to enforce that standard to some point, and inevitably it's going to fall short. For example, Hollywood. He was trained, he was prepared, but he lacked the, how should we say, testicular fortitude.
Even though he'd like to show off his testicular fortitude.
He would. Uh,
Yeah, to a bunch of men. Sorry.
so there's always going to be situations where he could have been kicked out for anything. He could have showed up late to KP. They could have kicked him out for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they were going for quantity.
They needed
And
bodies.
more people, yeah, they needed bodies. Warm bodies, preferably, but bodies nonetheless.
They needed bodies that held guns.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that was their entire goal, was to ensure that they could send out a fighting force. And a soldier that wasn't willing to carry a rifle wasn't a fighting force, which is why the tribunal was brought up against him.
Which, by the way, that entire military tribunal, I mean, they their colonel
Hold
tried
on.
to.
Let me get us there. Hold your thought, baby. Okay, so I'm taking this from the gun to the thing. Okay? All right. So he doesn't pick up his gun. The sergeant is like, "You out of your fucking mind, dude?" And he's like, "No, I'm a Seventh Day Adventist." And so all this stuff happens to where he goes to his boss, Sam Worthington, also Avatar, who is not on this planet right now, and
Captain Glover.
yes, Captain Glover. So he goes to the captain, and they're kind of discussing it, and not really sure what to do about this man child, and he ends up getting a hard time. The sergeant comes back, Vince Vaughn comes back, and he's basically like, free game. What is a man who won't pick up his gun and fight? Okay, he's a liability. You don't want this type in there. And so, he's getting beaten up. He's getting made fun of about reading his Bible. Um,
Well, that's
and
what in the military is called a unit correction. The unit was given the chance to get him in line to be able to pick up the rifle and do his job with the rifle.
yeah, but it still felt a little bit toxic to me. Again, I am not military. God bless y'all. Thank you for your service. I love you. But it was rough for me to see that but I get it at the same time. I'm not saying that I don't understand what they were trying to do. I was just like, oh man, like him getting beaten up and stuff. I was not okay with that.
Well, here's
But
what's
I understood,
here's one of the things. After unit correction, all right, and his the sergeant comes back in, Sergeant Holloway, and he was just like, "You gotta, it's time to give this up. It's time to give this up. I mean, finish getting dressed. I'll walk you down. We'll get you out of here." And the dedication Doss has to what he believes in, and his dedication to the military itself, and he was just like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get beat up. I just
yeah.
I sleep real hard." I mean, that right there just shows absolute dedication to the mission, and is, to me, I would utterly and totally respect him for it.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
But you
And
gotta
his
also think about
mission,
thinking about his dad's unit. Like he's like, I could have been there for them. Like what if
Mm-hmm.
they would have had me there, like as a medic?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is his ultimate goal. He's not going there to kill. He is going there to save. By being a medic, and
And so those like
so
some of those tactics for like trying to, let's say, correct somebody or get them in line to the normal, like some of those are still like kind of used today. Like the whole
Yeah.
like watching somebody, like that's a legitimate thing. Like minor thing, like bam, Got you.
Well, you got the army.
We
You got
you
the
on this.
you got the army currently that still uses the battle buddy program, where it's you and one other person always at your freaking hip. The Marine Corps, well, you're responsible for all the Marines that are beneath you and also to your left and right. It doesn't matter what the rank is. Air Force, well, I don't know. When you get a flat tire on your chair, what happens, Word?
My chair? No,
was
no, no,
not
no.
very nice.
We don't
And we
get
have to move on.
anymore. They're too much of a hazard.
So they just avoid it altogether, right? So obviously the wheels on the golf cart, they get
Where are the
maintained by the
crowns?
staff.
I need
Okay.
to feed my soon-to-be husband some crowns. He is hungry over there.
Hey, I got them right here. I got them
Okay,
right
eat
here.
your crowns. Eat your crowns. Eat your green crown. Remember, that's the one that helps you not be cranky. Okay.
That was right here, and
So
it's hard to see with the green screen.
okay, just eat your crown, baby. That's all I need you to do. I'm very proud of you right now. Mama loves you so much, you sexy man. Okay, so now we are going on,
Oh,
and they have finished basic training and they're going to go on leave. And Mr. Desmond is going to get married, or so he thinks,
Is it a
because
top?
this
No.
is
It was olive
old
green
bald
too.
man. Who the last time I saw this old bald man was in the movie Top Gun. I could have sworn it was the same man, and he is timeless. It's not the same man, but there's something about the bald headed white dude in the military. They all look the same. Not saying y'all are the same. I love y'all. Thank you for your service. God bless. Now,
No.
so
Majority of the bald-headed white guys in the military do all look the same. That's
okay,
accurate.
see, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just like
The
walking
only
penis.
difference
Anyways,
is the height.
love you for your service. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Now we're going. So he does not get to go because this was he a captain? Do you guys
He was
know
a
what
colonel.
his rank was?
He was
He
a
was a colonel.
General Musgrave.
No. We're talking
No,
about
that's not.
that's later.
This is the guy that comes in. So it was a colonel. He comes in and he's like, "You
Kingston,
have to
Colonel.
pass everything, and you have not passed your rifle handmanship badge.
Rifle
And
qual.
because you do not have this badge in on your uniform, you cannot go on leave." And he's like, "Go get me a gun," and he has to do it, or he's court-martialed and he's put in the tank. And so
Which is
the
true.
next thing we see is he misses his wedding, and then he gets mad because he's missed his wedding, and he knows he's missed his wedding, and he's punching the wall in the jail cell. And then he's going to court, and he's going to be tried. And this is where we see his dad, who has cleaned up. He looks like he's sober. And he has on his military uniform. He has his medals on, and he walks. And I'm going to let you guys talk about this part. So
So
he walks in.
To start, he had 3 medals,
yeah.
Yes.
which was fucking wild.
Yeah.
So to put that in common respect, right? A Bronze Star or extraordinary or is it exemplary action in the line of duty was typically awarded during the Great War. To my knowledge, was typically awarded to those that died.
And he was walking around with one, not just one on his chest, but a star on that medal as well, which means he was awarded it not just once, but twice.
And then he had the Purple Heart.
Wounded in combat.
He had another one, but I have no idea what it was.
It was the campaign medal.
Was it the campaign medal?
I'm pretty sure it was the French campaign medal.
So to have all of those all lined up, that's insane. Because he came back alive.
As a corporal, nonetheless.
As a freaking corporal. How many times does a corporal get into a position where he has to perform exemplary duty? and gets recognized for it.
Yeah. I mean, you see people getting awarded like the Medal of Honor and stuff like that. Most of them are getting awarded it
Postmortem.
postmortem. Thank you. So they're already dead. All right. I mean, the last Medal of Honor recipient for the Marine Corps, it was a sergeant, and he was in rough shape. But yeah. Continue on.
The last recipient for the Air Force is dead.
Yeah. But
So he walks.
Go ahead.
He barges. He doesn't even walk. He barges in.
Yeah,
which
he barges.
is something else. Because to push past 2 MPs, let's be honest. If you're an MP, especially in that era, you're expected to perform to a certain physical standard so that you can enforce your duties.
And the fact that he barged into this brigadier general's office, looks at his secretary and goes, "I need to talk to him now. He was my CEO in Bellowood." And then it just dawns on me, and I just go, "Holy shit!" This man,
Don't know. Bellowood was one of the most harrowing experiences during World War One.
This man survived Bellowood. It was a 96-hour siege that they held. So that this man is not just a veteran; he's a combat veteran of Bellowood, where they were getting airdropped their supplies from like day in and day out because there was another man that was there that was running a radio.
Was this whenever they're having to move the radio constantly? That's the same place, right?
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this man going to see his old commanding officer saying, "This is about my son." It's a flex. And
It's the first time in the movie like anything got brought up about specifically where he was. Besides, I think he mentioned France.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had mentioned France earlier in the film, but this was the first time anybody really got a clear picture of it. And to say that, not only the commanding officer made it out alive, which was insane, but to say he made it out alive, suddenly those 2 Bronze Stars make a lot of sense.
Oh, massive sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that too. And like I said, he is stone cold sober. You know, in my opinion, maybe hungover, but
especially
like,
because he
really
walked out of there with a letter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like official letterhead letter.
Yes. Yeah. And like I gave props to that dad, and like, yeah, that was some BDE, which means big dick energy right there. Hugo Weaving, we love you. All right. So now we're back to Spider-Man. Desmond Doss, and he is at his court hearing. And gentlemen, take it away. What happens? Tell the audience.
So with this court martial, he originally went in there to do a plea bargain. So he was going to plead guilty to not listening to orders of the colonel.
That wasn't even his plan. That was his legal representation's plan.
But
was to immediately plead guilty.
But he was going along with it, and then he got into that courtroom and he saw those freaking all that brass on the right hand side, and the colonels, all 3 of them sitting on that bench, and he was just like, "I can't do this. I need to stick up for what I believe in." And the fact that he told his legal counsel, "Yeah, I want to plead guilty." Not guilty. He want to plead innocent because of his beliefs. And then his father shows up, and it was just like, whoa. Hands this freaking colonel. Okay, a corporal in the military, an enlisted rank, handing a letter to a full bird colonel saying, "Here's something for you. You need to read this." This is, okay, hold on. Let me whip out my dick, slam it on the table, and say, "You got to deal with this now."
Yeah, so a situation like that, unless it is the corporal reporting something, that doesn't happen. You won't ever see somebody come up in, ODs, go up to a tribunal and barge their way in and hand off documentation. That just doesn't happen anymore.
No.
So whenever like any kind of like not even non-judicial punishment like by the captain is happening on board a ship, like they make an announcement and like everybody is told you will be quiet while this is going on. Like it's an
Yep.
announcement like you will be quiet about the decks. Shh.
Yeah.
Shush.
This person fucked up, and he's going to deal with it.
The fact that they have to tell sailors, shh.
That's right. I mean,
Well, like you're sitting there, like next thing you know, like there's like a needle gun, like what are they doing? Preservation. Said it was rusty. Played in the rust.
We told you to be quiet. Well, sir, unless you would like your very expensive cigars to be flooded in about 3 minutes, I need to finish this.
Yeah.
All of this is happening, right? He passes off the letterhead, and it very clearly states that Thomas's son, Desmond Dawes, is fully within his rights to not carry a firearm.
Mm-hmm. And that's protected by
the general's words struck me damn hard.
Well, it's the truth,
you
though.
Are free and clear to walk yourself into hell without a single weapon to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is... the victory in and of itself is a great thing, but to hear something like that because of his experience. He was at Bella Wood. To know all of that, that is a huge, impressively strong statement.
Well, no, I don't know if that general was at Bella Wood.
It was the general, not the colonel. The colonel wasn't the one that was at Bella Wood. It was the general.
Yeah, the general was he was a captain during Bella Wood. The colonel, the one that actually said...
Yeah, the colonel's the one that spoke.
Yeah, was it the colonel?
Yeah, the colonel was the one that said, okay, yeah, you are more than able to walk into the mouth of hell without a weapon. It was the colonel
he
said
handed a letter from the general.
Yeah, it was a presidential order.
No, it was a brigadier general order.
The paperwork?
The paperwork was from the brigadier general, stating that it, under the Constitution of the United States and
it was the order of President Truman.
No, it was from the brigadier general's office. The brigadier general reconfirmed that he didn't have to carry a rifle if he didn't want to, because of the amendments. So it's a constitutional right.
At least in the movie, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a presidential that the brigadier general got the president to sign off on.
I mean, I thought it was just a letter on his letterhead saying, "Yo, he has these rights." By the way, signed.
That's basically what basically what the letter said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just debating.
It's going to get to me eventually. Fix this.
Yeah.
And he was outranked, right? Like, this is coming from the general, like...
Yeah, it was coming from a brigadier general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether or not he was, like...
When you start seeing stars on a collar, you shut the fuck up real quick.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So Mr. Desmond, he's gonna go to war. But before he goes to war, he gets married, and we see them not get married, but it's obvious they're getting married because they're gonna have like some little cut off adult time. And now he is in, where is he, guys? Okinawa, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were immediately shipped off shipboard to Okinawa. Uh,
Yes.
I'm trying to remember where it was they would have landed.
Um,
Hacksaw Ridge.
well, the
No, no,
Hacksaw
no, no,
Ridge
no.
was where they were
They
headed.
moved to Hacksaw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they humped
Okay.
the Hacksaw, so they were actually probably on the southern coast. Arrived at the southern coast of Okinawa because they tried to come up Okinawa and then progress north into actual mainland Japan.
Yep. That island
Okay,
was
that's good
held
to know.
ridiculously well. So
Yeah, it was explained well.
as they start moving up, they are moved off the road by Captain Glover, and trucks start to move past. And on these trucks is the reality of war.
The honored dead piled up in the back of a 5-ton as he's marching his way to Hacksaw Ridge, one of the bloodiest wars in World War II in the Pacific Theater.
Makeup and costume, I think, does great here. Just as a side note, since I do not
Oh,
know
it was fantastic because
because
the majority of those
yeah, go ahead.
guys were real actors. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they were fill-ins, but the majority of those people were like real, the bodies. So it
sure.
gave a aspect of holy shit
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
I
that
think
moment.
I think the only thing with kind of like the realism factor that got me after watching kind of like Band of Brothers and like some of the Pacific was like you see like the goggles like every
Mm-hmm.
time. Like everybody's got the goggles. Like no matter what they do, like everything else, like all you see is like this perfectly these round
Yeah.
or oval shapes, perfectly perfectly clean on their face, and it's like just like make, make it smudge a little in there,
Yeah.
something.
The fact that everybody that was coming back was dirty and grimy and
Yes.
covered in blood, that was real combat. That was the reality that they were walking into and that some of us, myself included, lived.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even the looks on the men's faces that are coming, back as they're going in, his squadron, what is it called, gentlemen? His battalion,
Platoon.
Desmond's platoon, thank you.
Uh,
His platoon, they
uh,
of course are wearing the same stuff, but it's all shiny, it's all clean, none of it's torn up. Some of them are still kind of anxious but a little excited. And then
Mm-hmm.
you see these guys coming back and they're dirty, maybe like their clothes are messed up and just this haunted, I don't want to say defeated, but just like, man, I have
They were
seen
they were
and
tired.
dealt with some shit.
And worn down.
Yes,
They were
yes.
beaten. I mean, in a combat zone, you
Bone weary,
you
bone weary.
you don't get the luxury of a nice hot shower and clean clothes every day unless you're Air Force.
Jenny's,
That
Honestly,
look.
Jenny's
eat your
down. Sorry,
crown.
boys.
Eat your crown. Go to the blue crown. Have the blue
Conserve the
crown.
water. Conserve the water. Jenny's down.
But
But yeah, I mean,
you do see them. They're doing the right the way that it's portrayed, how they are humping and well, I'm saying humping because that's
It's
what we call it.
it's
It's a forced
zucking.
march to.
Yeah, it's a non-stop until you reach your destination.
Yep.
Hell be damned if there's fire in the way.
Oh, there's enemy to the left. Okay, take care of them. Keep going. That's what it is.
The rest of you that stay back to engage, catch the fuck up.
Yep.
Like you see them, like they even take the moment, like as they're like they spread out to let them like walk by. They all take a moment and they just stop and like you see them like instantly like at that moment the war to them like is like almost as real as it can get.
I mean,
Like that moment they're in war, right? They had the
yeah,
sounds going around them before, but that's now they're in game.
Yeah,
Like this
and
is next player up. You're here.
shit's just about to
Tag,
get
you're in.
real.
You're entering
And
the
then-
hell zone. You
But
know,
then they still take that time. Like you see some of them, like they take their hats off. Like you see them saluting. They're paying that respect, like even already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see everybody as the truck is going by. They take their helmets off, and they're showing the respect to the honored dead. Even though they're piled up in the back of a truck, they are still the honored dead. They fought for our country. They died for our country, and they will make it home to be buried in American
And they're
soil.
out in a war zone.
Yeah. And
yeah.
so to clarify for everyone, the rotation period for Hacksaw Ridge, would you care to guess how long it was?
Tell us, us non-military, what rotation period means as well.
So a rotation is whenever you take a set number of troops and swap them out because they're either battle weary, they are low on supplies, or they just need a break. Their numbers have been thinned to the point that it can be very well stated it's worth the economic pullback.
So you would have a unit go in with like let's just say for Doss's instance, he went with his platoon. A platoon is going to comprise of four squads. Each squad has 4 fire teams. Each fire team has a fire team leader. So it's groups of either 4 or 5, depending on how your unit decides to put it together. My unit, it was 4 guys. So each squad, 4 guys, and then you had a squad leader, which was mainly your sergeant, or if you're lucky, you get a corporal. And then the platoon leader is going to be your staff NCO or an officer, depending of if he's a young officer or not. So, 64 to 65 men in a platoon.
He's doing math, give him a break. So that's
I'm doing
60
math on a
people.
stream. That should be a fucking sin.
I
He
know.
had to take his shoes off. Leave him alone.
I know he hasn't eaten all his crowns yet.
I've only had one so far. I want to save the next one for like a bit donation or something like that.
That's why there's 64 in a box.
I got the 96
I
count,
know.
sir. That way I got the free sharpener if one actually breaks.
So
I'm getting him the mermaid crowns.
Those are
and
the
glitter
names.
crowns.
As long as they're Crayola, because I know they're safe in my they sit well in my stomach.
64 to 65 people rotated out every 8 days. Which means those people stayed up there for just over a week. And that's what they came back looking like.
Yep. And that's if they were lucky. Sometimes they got turned right back attached to a brand new unit, and they were told, "Get back in there, son."
Which actually happened.
Yeah,
Immediately after they passed those trucks on the road, they stopped by at a abandoned barn and start to settle down when troops from the 82nd?
I thought it was the 91st.
I don't remember.
It was up there in numbers.
Regardless, members from that unit were sent back to go back and attack again. That is terrifying, because your chances of making it out of there one time were pretty damn low. Twice are pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
Now
The
let's.
lack of sleep, the absolute devastation that you have to feel being told you're going back.
But you also got to think of it this way. You do the comparison between then and now. All right, 8 days. 8 days in theater for them, and they got rotated out. Sometimes they got rotated back in. Now, in a combat zone, for let's just say, for what I fought in, Operation Iraqi Freedom, 06 through 08, or 06 TAC 08, however you want to say it, it was a 7 to 14 month deployment. So 7 to 14 months, you were stuck in that godforsaken sandbox.
And
I'm sorry, babe.
maybe you had fob walls. Maybe.
If you weren't tramping around the streets, yes, you on the fobs, you would probably have fob walls. All thanks to our good old Our good old boys, the Seabees.
Or Army Corps of Engineers.
So they come up to, I'm moving us along. Love y'all. Thank you for your service. You're beautiful and amazing, every single one of you. God bless. All right. So we are moving along. So they come up to what I'm just going to call the Grand Canyon giant cliff. And there is rope that they are going to climb. And this is the actual Hacksaw Ridge, right?
Yes.
Do I have that correct?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
it's
So,
a ridge. It's a you can just call it a ridge.
yes, and I thought you guys would do a much better job of explaining why they were attacking this specific area around Okinawa and what it meant for us.
I thought they explained it pretty well in the movie.
I mean,
That was the
yeah,
main point.
They went in there and I thought they explained it.
yeah.
Like we have to take this ridge, and like the first time they went, they like explained it like they were.
This
yeah. Okay, can you
this
explain it
particular
better than
ridge.
that?
This
Even though the hands were beautiful.
so this particular
For the
ridge.
audience,
This blah, 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 blah. This particular ridge was so important because it was a critical supply line to be able to push forward into Okinawa itself. But the Okinawans and the Japanese were so deeply entrenched that we had a extremely hard time to get through them. I mean, you even saw it later on in just like minutes further in the movie where you saw just waves of Japanese coming out and out and out, and you see the bloodshed, the utter atrocities. I mean, they saw the aftermath of war when they were marching up with those bodies in the truck. Now they're in the shit, and they had to climb over 100 feet just to get to the landing that they needed to take.
Yep.
yes,
That's
and as soon
like
as
they
they
had been
get
fighting
on,
for. They had been fighting, for like ages already.
yes,
So all those
I
like
mean,
trenches and everything have been built up for years.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
They were
and just
preparing for that. They were so dug in, and those pillboxes were so fortified. I mean, you saw how hard it was. It just from the combat. You had one guy with a recoilless rifle that shot one pillbox. You had another guy that got like halfway blown up trying to get a satchel of explosives to the next one, where another man actually had to pick it up and continue on forward just for them to be able to push forward. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what they dealt with in World War II, time and time again. They would,
Well,
we
and
would,
then you would have to like re-clear that pillbox.
yeah, because all of a sudden, more people are popping up out of the bottom of it saying, oh, I'm just going to continue fighting you now.
yeah, and yeah, as they go over the ridge, you're seeing bodies in various different levels of decomp, which, like you said, shows how long they've been at it, but also again the real reality of war. Um, and then I forget the thing.
I do got to say one thing,
What
though.
was,
I do got to say one thing before we push forward, though. One of the lines that really caught me and I thought was fan-fucking-tastic is, hold up, boys. The Navy's going to soften them up for us. And then it cuts to the scene of the destroyer. Turn those 5-inch guns towards the word and just let loose. And the fact that one of the guys down on the ground goes, nobody can survive that. And then they get up there and all hell lets loose.
Yep.
Those are not small shells.
Oh no, they're not.
No, you're talking
No.
about from fingertip to fingertip, okay, is 5 inches. And it was that big around of high explosives being launched from the sea. Like my
Yeah,
head
that
could
was,
get my head could get launched through that barrel.
Yeah.
I think my body could have been launched through that barrel.
It's
Like I'm torpedo sized.
not only is it impressive, but the infrastructure that the Japanese had established survived.
Mm-hmm.
Time and time again, after being hammered over and over and over, it survived. Something that wasn't covered in the movie, but is still fairly damn prevalent. The Japanese had a way of making artillery pieces move. One of those methods was to strap it to a 4-ton truck.
Mhm.
It was a defined tank destroyer titled the Chiha LG, or long gun. It's an actual artillery piece. It's a howitzer, because everyone knows what a howitzer is. It was a howitzer strapped on the back of a truck, and they had timed explosive shells. They can knock into the sky like they were nothing. So the need to push through this, that was it. They needed to knock these supply lines out, so those devastating vehicles could never make it.
Well, I mean, to all fairness, like that's cool and all, but we did strap a nuke to a motorcycle.
That's true.
We did.
So
We did.
Listen, we don't talk.
just saying, okay?
We've done a lot
We
of
don't
fucked up
talk
shit.
about that.
Like you're like, oh, it's a howitzer. Like, oh wow, I'm like,
We don't talk about. Okay.
get on my level.
Let me flex my nuke on my freaking motorcycle.
Wait, hold on. That's just,
It's in the US? It's not the movie.
Y'all are too much. Too much.
hey,
Okay,
who's got that special like section like a special reporting requirements for like stuff falling off airplanes and stuff missing or something like that or being
that's
flown
Spirit
over.
Airlines.
Hey,
Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines.
Something about lost materials or misplaced accidentally a couple of times, once or twice.
That hider canister went off that F-18, I will gladly tell you who the reporting agency is.
United Airlines. They lost some woman in a corner like a couple months ago. I don't even know how that happens. They did. They lost a woman in a corner, and then they lost somebody's dog.
And then, don't forget. Recently, what was it? The Army lost a $14 billion jet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
Okay, y'all need to go find this stuff.
It was an F-35. The pilot ejected after aircraft error, and the aircraft kept on flying.
Okay,
hey,
so
if you build something, build it right, okay?
I mean,
it takes a lick and it keeps on ticking.
It was found intact too.
Nice and neat beds, and y'all are losing nukes.
It didn't have a top, now did it?
On the checklist, it says pilot optional.
Oh, Lord. Self-driving jet.
Funny, I've shown up to flights where that was kind of like missed as step one of flight plan.
Where's the pilot?
Step one, maybe step two, like either A airplane, B pilot. Set kind of one A, 1B. And they're like, yeah, we're all good. We're just like kind of waiting for the pilot.
What do you mean?
They
What?
called him. He's on his way. Like,
We're what?
We're on board.
We're waiting.
Oh,
You know how heavy this shit is? How hot it gets? God damn it.
So, anyways, I do have to take off here in a little bit, but I wanted to say I did get to see the first launch of the year. Was it Wednesday? SpaceX launch?
Oh, that, yeah.
The first rocket launch. And I got to feel the return booster kick in. Bro. It bounced off my chest.
So
Backstory. I'm on the beach, right? I'm on Cocoa Beach, hanging out.
Side note: this has nothing to do with Hot Saw Ridge. Okay, continue.
Well, yeah.
It's a sidebar.
We were on a sidebar of a sidebar. This is how it happens.
Yeah, this is how it devolves.
This is how it devolves to chaos. But, Yeah, so I'm out there for work. I'm out there actually to go to NASA for work. But I'm out there on the beach at Hilton, right, hanging out. We're out there for the shuttle launch. I'm enjoying myself. I'll leave it at that. Uh, and
It was in a
watch the shuttle
speedo.
launch. Yeah, exactly. It's refreshing, especially in the water.
Leave your banana hammock
In
alone.
January. In January. Hey, real man wear speedos in January. Okay?
No, real men wear kilts.
But like, so I filmed the first thing, and I'm like FaceTiming John or whatever. Like 5 minutes later, whenever it re-enters, and it like you see it, like you see the rockets come in, and like, oh, cool, it's landing. And then you hear,
Oh,
Yeah,
good. So I don't need to. I don't need to remake some of the cables that are in that damn thing again.
it
Nice.
damn near knocks the wind out of you.
yeah,
I've been around aircraft. Aircraft are loud, but you never feel something like that far off. That shockwave when it hits you, holy shit.
It's
I mean,
true.
because like, so
That's
I'm not
true.
sure how far, like, I don't know where exactly the return pad is, right? But the launch,
The turn pad is
we're
right beside launch.
is it
Yeah.
okay? So that's only like what 20 miles, maybe.
It's technically inside city limits at Cocoa Beach.
Yeah,
Like it's right there.
yeah.
It's gonna land in some poor little retirees
Well, so
retirement
okay,
pad.
I was a little bummed because I couldn't go on my first Space Force base. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Oh.
yeah. Well, because there's nothing there. There's like, do you have business here? I'm like, no, I just wanted to go on a Space Force base. And they're like, oh, well, your retiree ID doesn't do that here. Oh,
Bullshit! It doesn't. They should have let you on.
no.
The American flag on my driver's license
No,
lets me onto an army base nearby me. They should have let your ass on there.
Space Force bases hold the same
Not that,
equivalent
not that
of
side of the
military
base.
Okay. I'm going to bring us back. So the battle is fixing to start. Also, SpaceX was not present for World War II. I repeat, SpaceX was not present for World War II.
Yet.
Moving on. Yet, but when that happens, Zach, you tell me so I can correct myself,
Well,
okay?
if it happens, then we'll already all know because it would be part of history.
Okay, cool. And also, Zach, you and I need to make up a separate time to meet because I had some ideas I want to run by you at some point. So, yeah, just hit me up. We'll figure out a time. I didn't know when you needed to leave, so I wanted to say that.
All right,
Um,
cool.
can I get back to the movie or? All right, we
Let's see.
love you. You're my favorite beaver. Yes. That's right, folks. Everybody got to see my beaver on Twitch. All right, moving on. So
Wow.
the
Wow.
battle. Yeah, I know. My son is even looking at me because he's over there playing games. That's what makes this even more awesome. I'll take a picture of his face. Okay, so Beaver was on Twitch. We're moving on. We're gonna start the battle, and I think it started because there was a noise, and a man got up and was injured and got confused, and then shot, and then yeah, the battle has started.
A
People
man
are
sat up and screamed because he thought he was still under attack after being knocked unconscious
Yeah.
for the last bout, which had happened barely an hour before.
Yeah. I mean, there was still smoke in the air. There were still people like crawling around. It looked like, dying. Um, and they came to refurbish them, and none of the medics had made it before, too. I think only two of the medics had made it, so there was three medics for the whole platoon. They made a point of the numbers. Um,
Which
so the
was
battle
actually
stopped.
the most. They typically only got two.
Well,
They got lucky having a
looks
third.
like
Yeah.
okay. So they had a third, probably because at this point nobody had faith in Desmond. Nobody had faith in the poor guy. Um, the battle starts. Things start happening. Um, Desmond still doesn't have a gun. He has not picked up a gun. He has not done anything.
Completely
Uh,
unarmed.
Yep.
how would y'all surmise this battle?
Well,
It was a bullish rush
yeah.
into a headlong pitch.
I mean, that's the epitome of throwing the meat at the wall and then seeing if it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire thing that they were doing there. They were just constantly throwing literally bodies of meat at this freaking pillboxes just to see if they can actually make some ground. And unfortunately, the first day that they were there, they didn't. They got pushed back.
Not a single freaking lick.
Nope. Granted, they took out a couple of pillboxes, but that's the most that they could do.
Hit two,
Yeah.
and Riker was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Riker tossed that bag up.
Yep.
Which, for those of you that don't know, it was just a messenger bag that they had primed with a pull tab igniter, and it was just a pack of TNT.
Yep.
That's all it was. It was a shitty canvas bag packed full of TNT that they gave to troops so they could huck them at pillboxes.
And then the one before that was the recoilless rifle, also known as the bazooka. That is the predecessor of the AT-4 and the Stinger missiles and some other platforms. But yeah, they were pushed back, plain and simple. They didn't have the bodies, they didn't have the resources, and they actually had to call in more artillery bombardment from the Navy just to cover their asses as they retreated. But as everybody retreated, Doss got to the edge and he was just like, nah, man, nah, I got work to do.
He heard people calling for help. I mean, there were some of his squad mates. He watched everyone leave. He knew that they were still up there.
And
so he worked back up and started moving off.
He found his purpose, I think, because he was praying there for a minute. And
well, he was praying. He was praying the entire time. I mean, he went back out there and he was just like, "Lord, I can't hear you." And then he hears the screams, and he was just like, "I know what I need to do. I need to go out and save these people." And every person that he saved, he would say, "Please, Lord, just one more." I mean, the epitome of a good Christian looking out for his fellow people, persons, and brothers in arms. That's the epitome of it. And you look at like current military, you rely on the person that's left to the left of you and to the right of you to get you home.
Mm-hmm.
One way or another, they will get you home. And Doss was that man. He stayed in enemy-controlled territory, saving body after body after body throughout the entire night. I mean, those MPs that showed up to get the captain, they stayed there and they're like, they've been coming down in droves all night.
Yep. And it's who the hell's up there? And finally, I want to say it wasn't Hollywood. It was one of the other guys.
It was Rucker.
No, Riker died.
No, Riker
died on.
Riker died on Doss's back as he was trying to save him.
Yeah. So there was one of the other troops had looked up at him and said, "It was Doss." So he's at Hollywood. It was Hollywood because Hollywood had been hauled back first, and he went back for Sergeant Howell.
No,
as Hollywood's being hauled in, Glover asked him. He says, "Hey man, who's up there? Who brought back all these people?" I was like, "It's
Doss.
Doss and Howell." So Doss and Howell have been moving all these people? No, sir. Just Doss.
I was about to say, you're got to be a higher.
So he was credited with saving 75 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
the U.S. troops. He sent down 10 Japanese. That is 85 people. He moved in under 12 hours.
Now, one of the things in which
no gun.
Was no gun.
No gun. And one of the things in which they didn't really expand on in the movie is what Ward Runner said. He wasn't just saving American soldiers; he was saving the Japanese as well. I mean, they showed him in that period of time where he was in the tunnels that the Japanese cut out that kept them so fortified, and he came up to this Japanese soldier and he was shot and in pain. And what did he do? He grabbed out his gauze pad, put it on his wound, and was just like, "Here's some morphine. This will help." Popped him with some morphine and kept on going. He did that to 10 Japanese soldiers while he was in basically no man's land where death was literally around any corner or in any hole that was in the ground.
Up to 50 feet from that cliff was all enemy territory.
Yep.
Because that's where they had tunnels. They could easily make it back up, and nothing was going to stop them from running him through. I mean, the one issue that I took was he had a lot of medication that he ended up giving out.
Oh yeah.
I really don't think he would have found that much, because at that point in the war, they weren't sending soldiers out with 2 syrettes, which are miniature disposable syringes filled with morphine. They were sent out initially with 2 in the beginning of the war. They weren't sent out with those during the Pacific campaign. It was, dug all. So all they had to rely on was whatever the medic had. And if he treated 75 people, there's no way he had enough.
No. Even a medic.
Absolutely no chance he found enough.
No, there was. He had on him originally at most 5 syrettes worth of morphine, and we seen him use what 4 or 5. I mean, granted, there was 2 other medics that were there, and even if they had all 5 syrettes themselves,
one escaped.
One escaped.
The other didn't.
The other one didn't. But that would that would only been 10 syrettes.
Yeah,
There's
10 people.
10 people that got morphine.
Mm-hmm.
The bandages, they didn't.
Certain Howell just happened to be one.
Right. I mean, the amount of bandages they had gotten. Yes, they do carry a shit ton of bandages. Don't get me wrong, but not enough to save 75 people. Not enough. There wasn't enough tourniquets either. So he was probably improvising tourniquets for all the people that got their arms or their legs blown off. I mean, you got to imagine the hell he went through in a 24-hour period to the next morning where he finally got pinned down where he actually had to use Riker's body as literally a meat shield and jumped off the cliff.
Yeah. Blew himself off.
Yeah, that was intense. I'm not sure if we know if that's exactly how it happened, but I'm thinking it could have been plausible.
I mean,
basically, because of the account with Howell being the last man, more than likely, because they were trying to keep to the accuracy with the interviews.
Right.
And Howell was one of the men that spoke.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't know, these interviews were conducted at about 2000.
Early 2000s.
Because the majority, early 2000, because the majority of veterans at that period in time were reaching the end of their life. So it was really the last chance to try and record that piece of history.
And probably took that long for them to be okay with being able to actually speak out about their experiences.
Yeah, saying a single damn thing about it.
Because at the point in time, like when they came back and years afterward, just saying anything about your experiences in a combat zone was frowned on. Because you were
shock was used until 1963?
Something like that. But
yeah, which is another thing of like you could really look into of the mental health, because we know if you do, as a person in general, if you deal with something traumatic, it's good to talk about it and to work it out. So the fact that they couldn't, like they couldn't, period, it was frowned upon, or was it okay for them to maybe talk about it at the VFW with
Well, they would talk about
other
it.
fellow,
They would talk about their experiences with their buddies at the VFW or the American Legion, but they
but
wouldn't.
not with
But not
the
anybody
other.
else. I mean, even the
Yeah.
VA, for example, the VA is now just getting like coffee socials together, so veterans of the current wars veterans can sit down with other veterans and say, "This is the shit that I've gone through," and they can then help each other.
Yes, especially because in so many previous generations, just like when we were talking about with his father, there was no mental health support of any kind after that. It was like you went home, you dealt with your physical injuries, and you were supposed to go about your life like you went on vacation. Not that you did, but no one thought that, but you didn't talk about it, you didn't deal with it, you just came home and got back to your life. Like that's what everyone pretty much expected.
And not just them. It's also the people in the military too. They were expected to take that 6 month to a year to 3 years, like break in their life, and then return home and act like everything's all fine and dandy, hunky dory, and just picked up where you left off.
Nothing changed.
No, no, the shit doesn't work like that. And for the longest time, the VA was going off of matrices that were based off Vietnam veterans, and now they're just realizing, oh, what about the Iraqi war veterans and the um, Operation Operation Iraqi Shield and Desert Storm, and these are veterans that are current today. Your 20 or 30 or 40-year olds that are living and dealing with this shit. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I've dealt with the bullshit,
Yep.
and I still worry daily that I'm going to pass my trauma on to somebody else because that is possible.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a valid thought, and it's also good that you can now say that out loud, baby, and share that with me as a couple, which
Absolutely.
I don't think you know previous generations before did not. Again, I don't think his dad ever had a conversation with his mom about his time in the war.
No, guaranteed he didn't.
Yeah, she just got to deal with the blows in more ways than one that we saw. Um, but yeah, I wanted to take us on and finish us up on this movie, and then we can get to talking. So, and y'all interrupt me when you want to add something in, okay?
Plan on
Thank you. You have the best smile word. I just want to say that. So he finally comes down. He uses his friend as a meat shield, but he also brought him back. He brought his body back, so he could have that honorary, not battle, burial. Apologies. And then he gets treated in the med bay. Is that what that's called?
Close enough. It was the med tent or the mash.
Yeah, it was.
So
Okay, the med tent. Okay.
it was at that point in time, having a surgeon on the front line, even that close, was ridiculously difficult. That more than likely was a shipborne doctor for one of the ships
Yeah.
that was shelling the ridge.
Which would have been an actual.
That's
It would have been an actual mash at that point in time because there was a surgeon there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he was working around the clock mostly for every hour of work that Doss did pulling somebody back. That doctor
That guy was.
had 4 hours per patient at least. I mean, yeah, you can slap bandages on it. Like when they brought Hollywood back, you saw all the guys lying there. There was a dude that had both of his legs blown off at different levels, had his
Yep.
arm blown off, and was sitting there with one arm drinking from a freaking coffee cup. Like,
Yep.
he did a lot of work just on that dude,
Yep.
cauterizing and sealing everything.
Sewing him up, make
Yeah.
sure he doesn't bleed out.
Mad props to that surgeon. But yeah, that was the idea that I got, is that they probably came from one of the battleships, and like you said, it's a mash. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's outside and he's looking at his Bible, and his captain comes up, the one, that gave him so much shit before, and he did a very manly thing, in my opinion, which was to apologize and admit that he was wrong, and to realize that Doss, even though he wasn't, a fighter, he did have and played a very important role. 75 men, 85 men would not have been brought down and, given a second chance, gotten to be looked at that surgeon, what all of those things if it wasn't for him staying up there. Especially because you see them too. The Japanese came back and were looking at the bodies, and at one point he buried a friend and played dead, um, so they wouldn't be caught. He went through a lot, and he, the captain, basically, hey, thank you, in his very manly way, and then he's also tells him that they're going to go back up there. I think it's the next day or in a few days, and he's like, I know that's Saturday and that's your Sabbath, according to your religion. um but those guys, you know they may not believe in the same beliefs that you have. We may not have the same religious beliefs,
But
but
there's one
they
thing you
believe.
believe in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, very true. They want their guy up there, and, they want him up there. So it turned around from him being a liability and everything they were complaining about at basic training to where now, no, we're going to wait for you. And you see that when they're fixing to go back up that ridge, and they were supposed to be up there, what, 15, 16 minutes ago, and they're waiting on Doss to finish his prayer.
Yep.
So
And so
so
he had,
one of the things about that though is, um, first off, the captain and also the unit that he was that Doss was attached to realized that he's not a liability just because he doesn't have a weapon. Secondly, it reinforced, for me, it was called esprit de corps, which is your connection with your fellow soldiers or Marines or sailors or airmen. That camaraderie, they didn't have that camaraderie before. Now they do. Now they are a force to be reckoned with and to be feared, because they came back after Doss finished giving his making having blah, blah 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 blah. After Doss finished with his prayer, they're like, "All right, man, let's get to work." And they knew they were there and they were gonna do whatever it took. So in the movie, you start seeing the Japanese leadership. They knew that they were screwed. They got the worst thing handed to them, which was a unified force that was going there. And you know what? That Japanese force made the biggest mistake ever. They fucked with Doc. You never fuck with Doc. And you know what? Doc is the one that saves your ass. Doc is the one that keeps your ass alive. And Doss, Doc Doss, get it? Was the one that saved 75 of his men and 10 of their own. The Japanese leadership was like, oh shit, we're fucked. And you saw that Japanese officer perform what is called seppuku, which is
Seppuku.
seppuku,
Or Hibikiri.
which is an honorable way to commit suicide.
that was the most Mel Gibson addition to this movie ever. Like,
But
he
it was
would, we didn't necessarily need to see that, but like, that's
the
I was
addition.
like, I see you, Mel. I
Okay,
see
the
you.
addition of it was very Mel Gibson, but it was also very accurate, because Japanese soldiers, especially Japanese officers, when they lost in a campaign and they knew that they were going to get like taken prisoner or whatever, they would take their own lives just so they wouldn't
Yeah.
accidentally divulge critical information, because it
Death
was
for dishonor.
Exactly. Death before dishonor.
Well, and they were kamikaze pilots that like, okay, we're out of bullets, and which has nothing to do with Hacksaw Ridge in this movie, I don't believe. But I remember learning about them, the kamikaze pilots. Oh, we're out of bullets. Well, I have this plane that can go in your battleship.
Again,
Bye,
very accurate. And the Japanese soldiers
Yes.
did the same thing. They always kept one grenade handy just in case they needed to take out themselves and an American soldier.
Well, yeah, and it was also kind of poetic too, because y'all know how Hitler died, right? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it an honor killing, but he killed himself and his mistress, cousin, wife, whatever she was.
Mistress, cousin, wife.
Yeah. Well, weren't they like she was like 14 and everything? It was weird.
String of words that I'm not entirely sure how went together, but it sounds like it makes sense, so I'm gonna roll with it.
It sounds like something that came from Alabama.
Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah,
this
okay.
was Hitler. Like, I mean, he wasn't. He was not a good man. Okay, so I don't think his morals were in the right place at any given time.
He was clinically insane.
Well, exactly. So I was just trying to be polite for some reason to Hitler of all fucking people. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. The kamikaze pilots. The guy kills himself. They surrender. We take Okinawa.
Well, going back to the movie though, because
That's what I'm saying.
going back to more of the actual movie, at the very end of it, like I said, the unified force came in. The Japanese knew that they were screwed. Their officers were committing suicide, which was an honorable death. And then all of a sudden, you see these Japanese soldiers come up out of the ground and from the tunnels that they came, holding a white flag, which was accurate again. And all of a sudden, they pop grenades, throw two of them at the American soldiers, and here's Doss goes, okay, I'm gonna palm hand this one back. I kicked this one back. Oh crap! Blew his leg apart.
The soccer player.
The soccer player, and like he's he's showing his bluegrass roots there. Got to hit damn balls back at whatever. But the thing about it is,
we're struggling if you can't tell.
Doss's actions at that very end is again the epitome. Yes, he got injured. He took
service before self and making sure your guys come home.
He saved more lives in those two actions than what he even probably realizes, even to the day that he died. All right, you're talking about a grenade, a 5-meter kill radius. All right, 5 meter. Each meter is slightly bigger than a yard.
It's approximately a 15-foot kill radius, 16 feet if we're being nice, and that's not even including shrapnel.
And there was two of them.
From those grenades specifically, had a tendency to fragment very badly, turning into giant splinters, which would pepper the individual, causing them to die later on. Could be months, it could be years if it wasn't removed due to sepsis of the wounds.
So you're talking about, like, let's just say one grenade, 15 feet kill radius, and then another 30 feet beyond that for being mortally wounded, possibly dying of sepsis. So you're talking about 45 feet for each grenade. And you look and you see there is at least a squadron around this hole. At least. Or two. So pretty much all of them would have died if it wasn't for Doss's actions. Plain and simple. And then you see.
Yeah, and so they get him on the gurney. I think we have about 11 minutes left. So they get him
Stretcher.
On the gurney.
Stretcher.
And now it's his stretcher. The green thing that you take people down that are injured. And you know, he's sitting there and he's saying something and his buddies, his almost said his teammates, oh my God. his brothers in arms are like, "What is it, buddy? What is it?" He's like, "My Bible, my Bible." And so two of them go back to get his Bible. They go back into the war zone because this is how much of respect they have for this man to get his Bible to bring it back, which that actually did happen. That was not a Mel Gibson
Yep.
exaggeration. And you see, he's gonna go on the gurney and stuff, and this is kind of where the movie ends. And you find out that he won some medals. What medals did he win, gentlemen?
He is a Medal of Honor recipient,
Mm-hmm.
a living legend. First off, anybody that gets awarded the Medal of Honor, which is an award that can only be handed to you by the President of the United States, is a goddamn living legend.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
also-
That's a hero.
So he also received 2 Bronze Stars, just like his father did,
Purple Heart,
and 3 Purple Heart.
3 Purple Hearts. Jesus.
3. 1 Purple Heart, 2 clusters.
Yeah, so he ended up probably being the most. It's safe to say he's the most decorated one from his platoon, all of that, probably from that war, just from the Medal of Honor alone.
More than likely, he's the most decorated from that battle. I
Yes.
don't think he's the most decorated from the Pacific Theater, though.
Okay, I wasn't too sure on that fact, but still very decorated.
Yeah.
And then we get to see some videos of him, and who was the other gentleman? Was it Howell that they had talking about their experience in that specific battle? So you get to see him as an older gentleman. And on a side note, on a movie note, I thought like you could really see Andrew Garfield did do a really good job playing this man. Because he even had down like some of his mannerisms in the way he talked. So I was really impressed with that because you see that and you're like, oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
you really did good. But no, and I mean, even
Oh,
then, real
Andrew
life
Garfield
doesn't mean.
nailed that character.
He really nailed it.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
he had the right physique. He had the right personality for it. He got a lot of the man's
Yes.
mannerisms down because he was able to study that and
Yes.
all that bit from the interviews that they took. And
Mhm.
the fact that they had the interviews at the very end of Sergeant Holloway and Doss, and the fact that they had the life and the captain and all that in there just added to the realism of the movie to the actual events. So it wasn't just like a Hollywood glorified version of what happened. No, this was what actually happened from the mouths of the people that lived it.
Definitely. Definitely. And you get to see more, I think, of the impact that this was a true story, why it was important. And just that this man, I mean, he seemed incredibly humble too. Even though he was an old man, received all these honors, got recognition throughout his life, he was still
I mean, that
very
was
humble.
his entire character.
So
Yeah.
Tarlin
He worked for God.
Tarlin chimed in here. The most decorated man in the Pacific Theater and the entire war, so all of World War II, was Audie Murphy.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tarlin. Thank you. We love you. God bless. You're wonderful. I know you hate compliments, so I just want to say you're the fucking best. All right. Moving on. But yeah, overall, I really liked this movie. I did take notes that Mel Gibson was inspired by the 2004 documentary called The Conscientious Observer, which is, what Desmond Doss was. And I think we should add that actual documentary to our rotation and watch that sometime too. Because it is a movie, it's a documentary, but it's still a military movie.
So what was the name of the
And
movie
then
again?
I have it written down. It's the conscientious observer.
Okay, you got it written down. We can just add that to the list.
Yes.
Just like
Yes. And
we
one
also
thing I
got
will do.
we got a first time chatter in there that, talking about um if we asked if we saw SEAL Team 6 yet, and I just let them know that it is on our list. So I appreciate the
No,
suggestion.
he
Yes.
specifically asked, did all of SEAL Team 6 that took out Bin Laden get a Medal of Honor, or was it only the one who took the shot?
Oh, sorry, then I misread your message, but
Oh, it has been added to our list, and I do greatly appreciate you for bringing it up. That's
Yeah.
part of
Think of your
one of my
favorite
list.
movies and let us know.
oh yeah, we will
Military
gladly take.
movies, please.
If any of y'all would like to add suggestions to our military movie watch list to teach Chimmy and all of y'all more about the military, please do let us know.
Yeah, because I'm learning. I'm learning so much about pillboxes and sarcasm and battleships and brothers in arms, and I feel love. And I actually have a funny video to lead us off, and it is, and it's in the Discord, honey. If you can pull that up, and it's Andrew Garfield reading mean tweets about himself.
Oh my god.
Yes. So as soon as we get that up, that can just kind of be the palate cleanser. But overall, yeah, I liked this movie.
Okay.
It goes to show that it's the core of the person, not necessarily the religion sometimes. Anyways, you got it, baby?
Yep. I just need to change my scene.
Alrighty.
He's using spooky magic.
Yes.
Oh, wow, there's so many of me.
Yeah, I can't even hear it.
That is untrue.
The audio isn't feeding through well. But if you would like to receive this palette cleanser, make sure you stop by the Discord that Lord Thornton has just linked. Or if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can always go to twitch.tv/Lord Thorn, all one word, and check out the About Me section on Twitch to find the Instagram for the hand-forged materials of Lord Thorn and Thorn's Forge Discord.
Which
We're all in there, fairly active. We try to be anyway. But definitely make sure you stop by, and if you have a movie suggestion, we would greatly appreciate it, because we were struggling the other day to just sit there and be like, what's another war movie? Oh no.
Oh yeah,
Oh, and there's so many.
if it wasn't for the community adding in saying, hey, what about this one or what about that one, we were literally going, oh my god, there's so many. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
this was the first time I saw
And
Hacksaw Ridge, and
what's our one for? Go ahead, baby.
I was just gonna say this is the first time I saw Hacksaw Ridge, and I absolutely loved it to the point where I even got emotional during the movie, and I don't get emotional very often, like tears actually coming out of my eyes, emotional.
And then he got a spanking, and he got even more emotional.
Giggity.
So, what is our next week gonna be? So, if they want to watch the movie before and enjoy it spoiler free, even though I think this one you've had your time, but what's our next?
The next one
Our
they've had
next movie.
even more time, because it is another Mel Gibson. No, is it? No, it's not.
No, it's
this
Tom
is
Cruise.
it's Tom Cruise.
It's
A
Tom
Few Good
Cruise.
Men.
So
So you have actually had a lot of time to watch this one.
so
Yes.
our next week on the same bat channel, same bat time. That's open domain now, so nobody can give me shit about that. Is we will be talking about the movie A Few Good Men.
That's right. All right, boys, gentlemen, audience, we love you. You're beautiful. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time.
And
That's
everybody,
all I have to say.
And everybody, I so thank you very much for coming out and participating. I love seeing all the little comments, and the first time chatters are always welcome, and I love to see what you have to say and add in on the conversation for next week. I look forward to it. Word Runner, do you have any last words?
No, outside of making sure you check out the Discord. And please take a look at the Saves charity. Myself and Lord Thorn are both members of their peer-to-peer support care team.
I'm also the part of the board.
Listen, I was getting there. So yes, Lord Thorn is part of the board, and they are an absolutely amazing bunch of people. Seriously, go check them out. If you send a message there, you will probably see a dumb little reaction from me and maybe a comment, but definitely conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it is you need to get something off your chest or you're just looking for people to hang out with, they're a damn good group.
That they are. And as always in my streams, I'm going to be ending it off with some very important information that I feel that everybody needs to see, and is always an option available to you if you don't feel comfortable with speaking with us, because my DMs are always open. Word runners are as well. There is always other resources that are out there that if you are having a bad time and you need somebody to reach out to, there is always the National Crisis Helpline. Veterans, you do press 1 and they'll connect you with the Veterans Crisis Hotline. So as always, everybody, thank you so very much for coming out. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you all next week. Until then, good night, everybody.